Hi, my name is Justin, and I work for a company. Full-time, like about 170% full-time, really. And I can't even wear shorts to work, much as I'd like to. So I guess my talk's a little bit, counter-revolutionary in some ways. It's a bit about trying to create change from within an organization, and about hopefully that special place where you can actually take your passion to work with you every single day. But I think before we get into that, let's rewind a little bit. Who remembers what they wanted to be when they were a kid? Say 8. 8 years old. We're doing really well with 8-year-olds, so. Anyone? Fireman. Pilot. Teacher. That's a really good one. I hope you're continuing with that one. We need lots of teachers. Astronaut. Did I hear astronaut? President of the USA. Yeah, you and Arnold Schwarzenegger both, but neither's going to happen, sorry. My 8-year-old niece at the moment wants to be a Las Vegas showgirl, but I'm afraid her dad and his shotgun are not going to let that dream materialize either. I grew up in Durban, and my family used to go to the game reserve in Zululand a lot. So one really particular misty morning, we drove into Shlu Game Reserve, and in the road in front of us were these 4 beautiful wild dogs. And they trotted in front of our car for what felt like kilometer after kilometer. And I think that was kind of me done and dusted. I knew then I wanted to protect these animals, their environment, and I guess nature in general. But how to do that in a practical way kind of took a little bit of learning over time. So I thought of all the kind of boy jobs that people do. Can I be a vet? Can I be a game ranger? Khaki shorts, very cool. So one slightly bloody holiday job shading experience kind of ended the vet idea for me, unfortunately. And chatting to the game rangers about the struggle to pay their bills on a daily basis made a bit of very stark reality on that one as well. So I did what all kind of good kids do, and I studied law and finance. I didn't forget the 8-year-old me, though. When environmental law was introduced to the curriculum, I immediately took that subject and loved it. And when my first kind of job interview, the people looked at me slightly sideways when I asked them if I could do something to do with the environment. It didn't stop me from asking again, and again, and again, and again. I asked myself a lot of other questions as well when I was in my first job, though. Am I making a difference on a daily basis? Am I compromising myself by actually being here? Am I going to be one of those people that kind of punches a time card and wants to get out of there as fast as possible? The reality, I think, for a lot of people is that struggle, though. And I actually am very, very grateful to be able to say at the moment that I am one of the 13%. And that now sounds a lot like a sci-fi movie when I say it out loud. But that takes work, it takes a lot of effort, and a lot of perseverance as well. It doesn't happen all that naturally. One other quick sideways before we get into it, though, that also really influenced my kind of corporate view on things, I guess. When I was about 11 years old, there was a really big issue in KZN where there was a particular company that wanted to mine the dunes in Richards Bay in St. Lucia area. I don't know if anybody remembers that. I hated the idea. Hated the idea. And I actually started a petition at school, got lots of signatures. About 2 days later, went home and figured out that actually this company was a client of my dad's, who was in corporate banking at the time. And it really made me wonder, I know my dad's a good person. He's a really good person. So how could he be doing business with a company like that? And I guess it kind of leads me into some of the things I've learned about trying to navigate the way through the corporate environment as well. I think, first of all, it's very easy to buy into that idea of a really big, evil, scary, horrible corporate. But that big, evil corporate is made up of a lot of people like you and I. People who generally want to, mostly, probably 95%, want to do the right thing on a daily basis. They want to be able to sleep at night. And I think that's a real different thing of trying to take that scary picture and translate it into lots of individual components and lots of people behind it as well. And each of those people has got a very specific touch point. For you, it might be education. For you, it might be animals that you worry about. And for you, it might be creating jobs and driving small business. But trying to understand that touch point is really the basis and foundation for having a conversation about a much bigger sustainability program or a much bigger ideal that we're trying to sell. While that's happening, though, we also got to remember a bit of economic reality. At the end of the day, this company that you're in has to actually make a bit of money if you want to channel investment into environment, into social development projects as well. So that system that maybe I thought, and maybe a lot of us thought we could be fighting against, can actually be kind of jigged to work in your favor as well. At the same time, we're seeing more and more that companies are changing. More and more companies are really realizing that doing the right thing and doing good is actually good business in so many different ways. The second realization is that I have massive respect for everybody else out there, especially activists and the ones who can chain themselves to trees and really cool things in particular. And entrepreneurs, because I don't really have that spirit, unfortunately. And I've kind of put those two together, not because there's all the similarities, but because I think both require an immense amount of courage. Sometimes, though, it also requires courage to try and work within a system and change things from inside. Time and courage. More than that, though, it also requires not just moral outrage or moral imperative. And I think that was where I started, and that's a very difficult place because you're going to alienate some people in that conversation. So beyond the moral imperative, you also got to build a really multifaceted business case for why you want people to change. So for me, if I go and speak to a finance department and I can prove that being environmentally efficient saves a lot of money at the end of the day. If you can go to the marketing department and show them that people really care about how products are made and where they come from, so that's how you're going to differentiate yourself in the market as well. If you go to the HR department and show them that the number one ranked issue on the whole kind of people survey in an organization was about community involvement and environmental awareness, and that I think increasingly people want to work for a responsible organization if they're going to get a big corporate job. That's a recruitment and retention kind of advantage that in a market that lacks skills, that's really important. And I think most importantly, that trying to make people think about sustainability drives innovation. It's about doing things differently and changing processes. And I think people like that freedom to try and think differently. And it's not always allowed within a big corporate, but sustainability allows that conversation to happen. Importantly as well, and I think this has come up a lot today, is that collaboration is absolutely crucial in this process. You need different skills and different abilities and trying to bring them together if we're going to solve some of the big problems that we're dealing with. We've also got to be open to working with a whole lot of different parties in this process. Other corporates, NGOs, academia, customers and suppliers. And if you bring all of that together, it can be a really special magic in at least trying to craft a solution that we can all work with over time. Thirdly, and probably a lot easier for me to kind of deal with, is the fact that I don't know everything and can't satisfy everybody, internally or externally. Doesn't mean one shouldn't try. Probably even more easy is the fact that I'm sometimes wrong. Probably more often than not, actually. I think the practical example of that for me is quite an interesting one. A few years ago, we started, based on a lot of customer feedback, trying to reduce packaging as much as possible. And the more and more we did that, the more we ended up with damaged food products. And the research we were doing showed that actually food waste, because of the amount of energy, water, and other inputs required to produce food, is actually a much bigger environmental issue than the packaging at the end of the day. So we needed a significant U-turn in that direction, and I think one of many U-turns. It also made us realize, and maybe particularly realize, that this entire process is a balancing act. Every single decision we make over here has an impact over there. Every lever that we pull over here means something's going to move over there as well. The interconnectedness of it all means that it's very difficult to aim for perfection. Sometimes it's easier, but sometimes it's also okay to just aim to make things a little bit better every single day. At the end of the day, though, I don't on a daily basis feel like I've sold my soul. I do remember 8-year-old me every single day as well. 8-year-old me even remembered the wild dogs and managed to sneak some products in that raised money for them. And I think they do inspire me all the time. Do I win every battle and agree with every decision that's made? Absolutely not. But I'm in it for the long haul, and that means compromise is required as well. Is every decision and every discussion black and white? Nope. Many shades of gray. Not 50, luckily, though. Although apparently that does happen in the workplace as well, but we won't go. No. If we really want to transform the way we do business, it requires a dynamism that's fueled by people inside and outside the organization. People that give a damn. And I think that's you and me. So thank you.